we all have to battle with this constant drain of a feeling of nobodiness. But in spite of this, I think the vast majority of Negroes in this country know that they want to be people, they want to be men, they want equality, period. It just boils down to that. And we haven't been able to be people. We haven't been men because of all of the conditions that we've lived with and the syndrome of deprivation surrounding conditions, whether it's in housing, in the economic area, or in schools, or in the vicious credit practices that we face in the ghetto, and all of the problems of closed doors and constant defeats. But in spite of all this, I think we all know, basically, that we want to be persons judged not on the basis of the color of our skin, but on the basis of the content of our character.
But you know that many young Negroes don't want anything that smacks of the American white middle class.
WOVU LP Cleveland, a Burtonville car station.
Now I told you this was coming, so we all better start paying attention because it's about to get worse. They didn't deliberate, they didn't hold hearings, and they didn't slow down. 8 days after the ruling dropped,
politics, culture, and business. Yeah, entertaining and educational. This is major. Special guests, talking plenty movers and shakers. Cleveland in the house.
Just like
time
that,
is right now. Strategic Moves Radio Show with Ken Dow. Time to motivate, inspire, and right now, this is what you need, and it's hosted by Ken Dow. Politics and culture. So let's go.
Right now,
Strategic
it's
Moves
just
with Ken Dow Radio Show. Let your voice be heard. Time to elevate.
So that the black voters in Memphis, one of the blackest cities in the country, can no longer produce black
Tune in and don't wait. What's on your mind Tuesday? Streaming on WOBU.org and 95.9 FM. And don't just listen, jump in and be the conversation. Let's go.
Hey, what's up, everybody? You tuned in to another episode of Strategic Moves. I'm your host, Ken Dow. This is Strategic Moves Radio Show with Dr. Heather Burton and Ken Dow. We brought to you live every Tuesday right here on WOVU 95.9 FM, where we get an opportunity to come in and talk to you guys about everything that's going on around Cleveland and in our surrounding area. And today, we're going to do just that. We have a lovely guest that's in our program today. She is the president and executive director of the Ohio Legislative Black Caucus. Her name is Shayla L. Davis. She wanted to make sure we put that L in there for sure. The Shayla L. Davis. She's going to be with us today, and we're going to sit back and talk, waiting on our host, our guest, not our guest, but our host. You know, the guy always coming in here hot as ever and getting ready to get things going. We'll get going. I think here comes Judge Nelson walking in, and Burton will be coming in pretty soon. And before we get started, we're going to play a video that I want to, because this is going to set the tone about what we're going to talk about today. I want you to hang in on this video. This video is kind of lengthy, but it's very good information we're going to talk about today. After the video is over with, we're going to kick the show off. So everybody check out this video, and we'll be right back.
I really need you to understand what happened today. Because what's happening in that chamber today is not going to just stay in.
Hey, Cleveland, pull up to the free Armed Forces Day celebration.
Before I go on and say another word, I want you to look at this video. Watch this man's face when he said what he said. Because reading it is one thing, but actually watching it is something else.
You got a background up. You need to take the background off. This background.
Just take it off, white supremacy at the behest of the most powerful white supremacist in the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. Memphis is the most beautiful place on the planet. It's the place that raised me, my brothers, my parents, my grandmothers, and where my ancestors' bones rest. And what you are doing today is eviscerating the only black majority congressional district in our state because we are majority black. We are here because this Republican Party has to seek to steal elections and seats because the president and the party have refused to address the pain, the suffering, and the struggling of everyday Tennesseans. This is about attacking, targeting, and cracking District 9 into pieces for more political and racial dominance and white supremacy in the state of Tennessee. And we need to realize that the Calais decision that you all are basing your decisions off of that gutted the Voting Rights Act, that Voting Rights Act was paid in blood.
Back.
It was
Welcome
not just a part
95.9. This is Strategic Moves Radio Show.
A paper signed into law. It was paid in blood.
Everything that's going on politically as well as culturally right here in the city of Cleveland. And today, as I mentioned, we have in our studios today none other than Dr. Heather. Oh, no doubt, then Shayla L. Davis. She actually is let me give her whole title. She is a former state representative, and her name is Shayla L. Davis. She's the president of the OLBC, Ohio Legislative Black Caucus, right here in Cleveland, Ohio, which is a really big deal because she leads a group of African Americans who were former elected officials in the state part and the state legislator. And some of those members are some of the people that were former, and she represents the foundation that is the organization that is the nonprofit of that organization. And she's going to tell us a little bit more about that. And we got Judge Nelson in the house. He came in. And also, we're going to add to the conversation. We're going to talk a little bit about what just took place in Louisiana, what took place in Tennessee. And we're going to also talk about what's going on here and how all of that stuff can trickle back to Ohio and what that means. Before we get into that, I'm going to let DJ Unicorn give us our update. She ain't feeling good today, y'all, so she ain't going to be as fired up today, but she do got our information to let us know. She gives us all the information, what's going on in the neighborhood and stuff we need to know. So, Unicorn, I ain't going to let you be long today. Just tell us what's happening.
Psych! Mr. Dow, lied to y'all. I'm always activated, always ready when it comes to this civic work, baby. Always, okay? Always, especially when it comes to our youth because they are the future. And look, when I was younger, I was like, oh, when I would hear statements like that, I'd be like, yeah, I'm the future. Da, 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 da. But it's factual. Now that I'm older, I'm a mother, I understand fully what that meant when I was hearing that. So yes, our kids are the future. And that's today, at Zave 27 on Superior at 5:30 p.m., we will have our teen-led People's Office meeting where the teens and the parents and community members will be able to share your opinions, your concerns, your ideas on these school mergers and safety plans. Primarily, that's what we will be focusing on, safety plans and our youth center school transition safety policy that we will be developing with the People's Office. We'll be going over our demands. So look, we have a 60-day map of what we will be doing. So the first 14 days will be our listening sessions where we be listening to the kids, listening to the parents, listening to those community members. The 30 days after that we'll be having our safety impact report submitted. And 45 days after that, the transition plans will be finalized. And 60 days after that, the community support will be activated. What will that look like? That will look like those students, those parents, those community members showing up to CMSD meetings and making these demands that we have figured out together, and making sure that they recognize and partner with the teens in these decisions moving forward. Because when this happened, was meetings taking place that the parents could show up to? Absolutely. But no one asked the kids. And we got to listen to the kids, bro. That's all I got for today. I hope to see you at ZAVE 27 at 5:30 this evening with your babies.
Everybody, y'all heard that. One more time, where that's going to be at?
At ZAVE 27 on Superior Avenue. I can give you the actual address if you want to check it.
Is it called Zave's? What's that?
ZAVE 27. It's actually a really nice in an event space / production space. It's a really transitional space. They have a stage, so people do podcasts there. They have parties there. I'm contemplating having my kids kindergarten graduation there, but it's really nice. It's on 12403 Superior Ave, right next to that bridge. If you're coming down Superior, going down Superior towards downtown, it'll be right there on your right hand side. It's beautiful inside, so come on. And if you need a space for anything, please reach out to them. Again, that's 12403 Superior Ave. And I definitely want to thank Coach over at ZAVE 27 for hosting us for the free, because look, this civil work ain't cheap.
That's correct,
baby. And we are feeling it ourselves. When I say we, I mean the people. And the people, the power is with the people. People got the power, and we are just here to constantly remind the people of that as well, because for some reason we have got complacent and we have forgotten. We too chill. We got to get reactivated, and that's the point of the people's office. So thank you.
All right, that's DJ Unicorn giving us what's happening in the city. If you ever want to get any of that information over to us, you got any meetings or anything that you want us to announce, all you have to do is you can leave that. You can go straight. I'm gonna give you an easy email. You can go straight to kendowell@gmail.com. That's KENDOWELL@gmail.com. Send your events there. Send me what you got, and we'll make sure we announce it here. If you got a statement or something that you want to say, that you want Unicorn to read over loud over the radio because it's something that's bothering you want to talk about, send that information in to us, and we'll make sure we get that out so that the whole world can hear about it.
And to our haters, we love you. We genuinely, I love y'all because y'all keep us even more activated. Thank you. And that's just not for the people's office. That's for WOVU as well.
Shout out to all the haters. Shouting them out today. Hey, let's get going today. I'm going to bring on Miss Davis because she got an important meeting she got to run off to see about some family members, and I ain't going to keep her alone so she can make her appointment. Representative Shayla L. Davis in the house. What's happening, lady?
What's up, Kendall? How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I can't complain. I'm doing all right. Let's give Miss Davis those because Mr. Burton ain't here yet, in case she just want to hear herself a little bit better.
I asked for this. I'm not gonna tell y'all, but I asked for this like 10 minutes ago.
Miss Davis in the house, boy. she hold back nothing.
She don't mess around.
She don't mess around. So tell us what's happening. I'm gonna call you Miss Davis through this program, a representative. I'm gonna always call you because I go bounce around. But tell me what's going on for the people who don't know, because the whole time I was describing what the OLBC do, she was shaking her head saying no.
You got it wrong, y'all.
So go ahead, tell us what they do. I'm gonna give it to you. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
As president and CEO of the Ohio Legislative Black Caucus Foundation, what I do is focus on data, research, policy advocacy at the state level for all Black Ohioans. That's the work that we do. We are not the Black Caucus. The Black Caucus.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, we're totally separate. Now, I will say historically, the Black Caucus created who we were. But we are an independent 501c3, and based off of federal regulations, we are nonpartisan. So we represent all Black Ohioans, no matter what they believe and think. When you look at the caucus, it is a PAC.
Okay.
The Black Caucus is a Democratic PAC, and what they do is support Black people to get elected at the state level. Totally separate from what we do. We are the community, separate. Terrence Upchurch is the president of the caucus. Those are the 17 sitting Black members in the legislature. I'm a former state representative. We get grant money and corporate dollars to elevate the work and the voice of Black people across the state of Ohio. Today, we're releasing our State of Black Policy and Action book. It's all the legislation that is actively moving through the legislature right now in this 136 General Assembly that Black legislators, Democrat and Republican, because we have 2 Republicans that are Black, one in the House and one in the Senate. So all the legislation that they have put forth that's moving. Now, some people may have hurt feelings because they ain't going to be in the book. But that's because their legislation isn't moving forward. So that's what this book is about. And the purpose of this book is to bring it back to community. People are always talking about advocating. People are always talking about mainstream issues that we see on the news, but we don't necessarily know what's happening right in our own backyard actively. When we talk about our school districts and we're upset with CMSD, we're not understanding that last GA, Senate Bill 1 has a tremendous effect on why the budget was cut and how we could have used that information as a tangible way to get activated last year, right? And so this is why this book is being created in hopes that it will help Black communities get elevated. Because when we look at what's happened in this last primary election last week, was it last week? Yeah, that was just a week ago, last week. Right. And we see the turnout was dismal. Not just in Cuyahoga County, but across the state. Only 21.7% of people voted. And so we know that's an even smaller number for Black people. So my goal and my responsibility and duty from the policy perspective is to bring policy back to the community in a way that it's tangible in hopes that people will see themselves and how they're being impacted by these policies to get involved and get activated. We can talk all day, but we've got to be willing to do something. And this is the part of the work that I want to do. But first, the first thing I want to say is, as Black folk, we got to get back to the love of our community. We've got to get outside of this space of individualization. That's not how we were created. We are a community. And if you don't love the community, how can you serve the community? And that's something we got to hold in our hearts.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the huge things that's affecting our community right now, the little bit of community we have left, because our community is being taken away from us on so many different ways, either whether it's us taking it away from ourselves with some of the dumb stuff that takes place in our community that we do to each other, or we have right now where we have the government that's trying to split our communities up, and so that our vote basically don't matter anymore. You know, it used to be a time where we said, hey, you know, you can't get out there and vote because vote would change things. But now they're trying to make it mathematically impossible that our vote really won't matter. So we got a lot of stuff that's going on. And as you see that from a state perspective and what's happening down there statewide, how is what's going on? And one of the topics we were going to talk about today was what's going on, what happened in Louisiana with them Supreme Court basically going in and gutting out the Voters' Rights Act, and as well as what's happening in Tennessee, where they went ahead and just called a special session and brought in folks and went ahead and got rid of the only congressional seat in Memphis, which was the only congressional seat and Black seat in Tennessee. We see these attacks happening, and they're going on, and it's not, and they're going to be more. They're looking at seats like South Carolina with Jim Clyburn and other seats that they're in the process of trying to take some of these seats. How you were in a legislator, you down there all the time, you're dealing with that, and you were part of the last go round that just took place. Now, I like to believe, just in my mind, that our governor just ain't cut from that cloth that will call a special session, bring people in the room, and do that. But I'm gonna ask you, because you're down there and you know these guys more, is that possible? Can that possibly happen here in Ohio in the same ways we saw Louisiana and Tennessee from your perspective?
Well, because we're not in the phase of redistricting at this moment, no, right? The short answer is no.
Well, they wasn't in Tennessee. That was a special meeting they called and did that. They wasn't in the moment. They just said we're about to do it now.
So I thought they were in the redistricting process. They were doing their maps. No,
I thought they called a special meeting to do that.
Right. You can call a special meeting during the redistricting
okay,
process.
so you're saying just
saying.
Because we're not in that process now, it just can't happen
The
right
short
now.
answer is
That's
no.
the short answer. Okay.
But what we need to look at is who our actual leaders of the legislature are. When we talk about Matt Huffman, right? Matt Huffman, who is the Speaker of the House. So that's the House of Representatives, and the President of the Senate, which is Rob McClellan or something like that. Those two individuals decide what's coming to the floor. They decide what's going to be voted on. And those are the people we need to be looking at. From my perspective, I'm always focused on the Black legislators, right? Who's representing people that look like me in my community and what are they doing? However, those individuals aren't technically in leadership position to have real control and power. But a bigger thing that we need to talk about is that in Ohio, we have 1,040,000 Black registered voters. That's a number that we put out last year in November when we released our State of Black Ohio policy brief. 603,000 of Black registered eligible voters in Ohio do not typically turn out and vote in any primary election.
Say that again.
603,000. That's more than 58% of those who are eligible and registered. We released this in November of last year. Crickets. When we released it. And so then we're stunned when we look at what happened on Tuesday.
Well, Tuesday, just to give y'all, we had in Cuyahoga County got 862,843 voters, registered voters. 672,791 people did not vote this last election, just in Cuyahoga County.
But then that speaks to that 58%, right? And we had an opportunity, and I'm saying we collectively had an opportunity for 6 months to really elevate this conversation and do something different. Because at the end of the day, when we looking at Tennessee, all of that happened because voting power is really not in the room. I don't know what their numbers are, but I can speak to what the numbers are in Ohio. If we don't show up, we can't control who has the power and the influence at the table. That's just the bottom line. Now, how we go about doing it is the real conversation that we need to have. But I think we still have to get back to the place of what does Black love look like? Because if it's all about you getting a seat and you really don't love your community, this is why people are disinvested.
Let me ask you, as it relates to what happened in Tennessee, and you mentioned that we wasn't at that moment right now to do redistricting. I know that when we look at what's happening on a national level, and we say, okay, this is happening congressionally, but we also know this same redistricting tactic is used for our state representatives, our state senator seats, and things of that nature. Right now, we can say in Cuyahoga County, as it relates to the African-American community, we don't have a African-American state senator anymore that in our district that represents mainly African-Americans. They cut it up. So my question again, back to you, going back to this redistricting and all of that, is that same tactic, it can be used, and have it been used already in that kind of tactic? And when is the next time state Senate seats and representative seats come up?
So, I think it was in, 2026? Y'all got to keep up. 2024 is when they voted on the most recent maps that we have, which are supposed to last for 10 years until the next census and all of that. Gotcha. But let's talk about, it doesn't have to be redistricting that pushes people out. Let's talk about policy. Let's talk about people at the table. We have Frank LaRose, our Secretary of State, who wrote the ballot language for issue 1 last election, which allows our state to purge voters without any notification.
Correct.
Let's talk about what was enacted in March of 2026 that changed early voting laws here in Ohio. If your early vote ballot is not received at the Board of Elections on election day, we used to have a 4-day grace period. By the close of election day, it don't count. It don't count. It doesn't matter if it's at the post office. It doesn't matter if your niece is coming to pick it up at 7:32 and take it down there for you. And the even bigger conversation is people mailing those early ballots in. If we look at our postal service, I worked for the post office for 11 years. right? So I understand the system. It used to be all the mail went down to the main post office and then it went to the sub mini stations. Now our mail is leaving Ohio. We are farming our mail in Ohio, in Cleveland. It's going to Detroit, Michigan, and then coming back and then being delivered to our doors. And so we look at the timeline, all of those things are ways to suppress our vote. So
is it our vote, or is it everybody vote?
Well, when I say our, I mean everybody.
Well, that's what I mean. So
I mean, I'm talking about black people, but I'm talking about everybody.
But early reason why I'm saying that early vote itself, just like what you just explained, that process of what you have to go through in order to get your vote in, is it a good thing? Then are we saying that, hey, we need to, now I'm not saying we get rid of it, but again, is it the best way to assure that you get your vote in is to just go vote? And I know there's some people who can't, and we have to deal with those who can't, but those who can, I think, is more of our issue that we're having versus the early vote. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day. It was like we were talking about the audience of the people who are not voting. And we spend a lot of time going after young people and going after these folks like that. We saying, hey, we got to get these young people involved. They really need to vote. But the reality is, man, we got a lot of people that's in their 40s, in their 50s, and in their 60s who's not voting. When you look at a number like that, 672,000 people decided not to vote this election. That's white, black, and everybody in between. So we having an issue as it relates to that. Now, black folks, we have an even bigger issue because they're taking our liberties from us bit by bit by bit by bit, and they're just starting to pile up. And so reason why I bring attention, like you say, there's so many things we can bring attention to say why we having this issue. You know, we just got to kind of narrow this thing down to something that we feel is going to help change this voting thing we got going. And I think it's a holistic problem. And I just don't know how we're going to, you know, how for this discussion, I think we just need to go ahead and figure out what we can do to kind of figure out which direction we want to go in, I guess.
So I'll say this, for the last 3 weeks, I've been watching everything that Judge Nelson posts on Facebook. Now I know
this
Facebook
Nelson?
is for this Judge Nelson. Yeah, the rebels.
I'm about to say, okay, here we go.
This sends me messages and say, Doc, should I post this? And so he's talking about a bigger issue. I guess the point that I'm making from my stance and frame is that it's not one issue. It's a multitude of issues. And my job is to bring awareness to all of them. And everybody can decide what part they can play. It's not a one size fits all when it comes to this. And so, yes, there's disenfranchisement happening because people are choosing not to vote. Why is a deeper, more layered conversation we have to have. But what I am saying is that we could have had, and we need to be actively engaged at what's happening at the state level that has nothing to do with when you vote on election day. It's the people that were placed in power that are changing things and making the decisions before our very eyes. Why does the early vote part matter? Because those are people who did possibly vote, and it won't be counted. At the end of the day, it comes down to numbers. Those numbers are not going to be counted if the ballots are not accepted. Is that a small percentage? We don't know because we don't see them. The bottom line is two things can be true.
Oh, definitely.
People aren't voting, and people are ensuring that we don't have the ability to vote. And that same Frank LaRose is moving into another position at the state level. What is he running for? What we going to do?
That's right. That's right. That's
one of the interesting things that you all just touched on and the dialogue you had. Voter suppression in Ohio is both partisan and racial.
Absolutely.
It is partisan because the majority party wants to maintain power, and they know that they can suppress Democratic voting. Now you're nonpartisan, you can't speak to this, but as they suppress the Democratic vote, that automatically disenfranchises the black vote because we vote predominantly democratically. Now, in terms of racial suppression in gerrymandering, all we have to do is look at Jim Jordan's district, which because the way his district is written, it's like an octopus, it's drawn like an octopus from Champaign County all the way up to the lake. And in Franklin County, the number, everybody is shoved into Joyce Beatty's district. But in fact, they have enough room for a second district because of the population, the growing population and migration of people from places like Cleveland and Cuyahoga County to Franklin County. Cincinnati is another state city, and Hamilton County is another city that's in danger because the Democrats and Black people have taken over county offices in Cincinnati. We have 3 Democratic county commissioners, 2 Black ones in Hamilton County. So if they can divide that district up, move it around, then it will have some impact on the strong performance of Black people in Hamilton County. So we got to be mindful, and I'm glad, Shayla, that you were on top of this. We got to be mindful of the danger. And what is happening in other states is the test ground. Is this they just testing, see how far they can go before they come after certain. Cuyahoga County, we are sort of spoiled, and we really don't understand the danger we face because the Cuyahoga County, if you're a Democrat or Black and you run in this county, you have as a Democrat, you have a overwhelmingly strong possibility of winning. The news in Cuyahoga County is if a Democrat loses. So it gives us this false sense of security. Even when they just were talking about what a great job David Brock did. Well, yes, but the news would have been if we lost.
Well, the news should be that 672,000 people didn't vote. That's a huge number.
So you got two things. Jesus. You got 2 things. You have self-suppression because of the things you've identified that people lost hope. As I was coming here, I stopped at the store up the street. Just to chit chat, and give out a flyer.
I ride by that store even when I want to go in that store. I didn't go in. I just pulled into the.
You the reason,
right? I handed out a flyer.
Oh, brother,
and we need to go back.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's right.
The reason we need to go back is they are totally disenfranchised and disinterested, and totally apathetic about this whole discussion we have.
But I don't know. I think it goes to, I was just gonna say, but it goes and Shayla said it. It goes to, this is not a single issue fight.
That's right.
That's where we get lost. We get lost in focusing on one issue instead of focusing on the holistic of when we're having this discussion and what we need to do. And I also think it's a point now that we need to stop talking. We've discussed enough.
Right.
We've been in the meetings.
I don't want to cuss. You right.
Bert ready to put on her boots. She's like, it's time to hit it.
Well, I said this last night because I won't call out, but I was at a thing last night and I said, you've got all this power in the room and we came together for a reception. And I said, what do we do with this? I was like, if we all came together, but you got 200 folks in a room and all we did was have a reception and welcome remarks.
Wow.
And it's things like that I'm saying, when do we stop talking and when do we start acting? When do we start activating? When do we start pushing? But then the question becomes the disconnection. Why are so many people disconnected from voting?
Yeah.
And how do we re-engage? Because if we don't re-engage, we stand with those same numbers. And we can't keep blaming it on the fact that it's not a general election.
And let me add this to your point. So OLBCF is a 501c3. When we talk about the 600,000+ Black people, predominantly women who've lost their jobs, let's talk about how funding has been cut. I am a 501c3. No one is coming to save us. And if I am real honest and real clear, a lot of the white corporations were funding the foundation. Prior to me coming in, we got no grant funding. And so I started to get grants. Even that is very limited. I am working on a shoestring budget to represent this entire state, to get information out to the community, to use data and research to tell the story, to then develop policy. There are enough Black people in Cuyahoga County, Franklin County, Warren County, Hamilton County, that could support the work that we do to help elevate the message. But they are in the room when we go to the CBC, because the Black Caucus Foundation, we host a party in DC for our Black women who are in Congress from Ohio, which is a great thing. But that's where I get the money from. The money turns up for that. But the work I do every day, because as much as I love my community, I still need to eat, right? So I get paid to do this work. but the funding isn't there.
Yep.
So a lot of times when we talk about why are people disconnected, it's because we don't even have a place for the message to be sent back to them. As I'm doing the work, how do I get the work out to the people if the funding isn't there for me to do the work?
Got you. So it's like you got the answer, but you can't do nothing with it. If people, your good message, you may have the one thing that people are looking for, but
or part of it, because I don't have all of it.
Right.
Part of it, though.
Yeah, and I think it goes to the trickle down effect that we're dealing to is when you think about that 600,000. I was in that number. I was in the number.
Oh, you actually admitted that.
Yeah, I was in the number. I admit it. I mean, I was in the number. I can't deny that I was laid off based on the current administration.
Yeah.
But in that, what I'm looking at, it was what people don't understand is the impact that this has had on every facet of life. We talk about just the people who were laid off, but the layoffs cut, as you said, Shayla, it cut funding in terms of programming. It cut funding in terms of services. It cut funding in terms of nonprofit. It cut funding in terms of other government entities. And so when you think about all of this impact that it's having, but yet we are disengaged. And many of us don't even realize that we sit next to somebody, and this is in our house. I ain't even talking about, or in the church or in the school, wherever you are, you're sitting next to somebody, if it's not you, that has been affected by this administration. And if you do have, here's my call to action to the audience. If you have that personal story, you should be talking about it. You should be getting other people engaged, because it's one thing that when we have a personal perspective, what it does to move an audience. And so that's my challenge to those who are listening, and give funding. Give to Shayla's organization. I don't have the name, and I want
the Ohio Legislative Black Caucus Foundation, olbcfoundation.org.
And they can give through the website.
Absolutely, one click.
Yeah, and this is the other thing that I said is one thing that we have to recognize that I've been looking at as I've been doing certain consulting work is one thing that we don't have is a mass population of Black middle upper class. And what I mean by that, in the city, where you go to other cities and you can find the middle and upper class Black folks as a, what word am I looking for? As a group, a community. We're dispersed. We're dispersed throughout the suburbs, but you have the income, you have the reason. And if you care about the community as a whole, you're going to give and you're going to fight this battle that we have in front of us.
I was going to tell you, you good?
I got like 5 more minutes.
All right, go ahead. So this is what I want to say. I was going to give you an opportunity now, because I know you said you had an appointment you had to go to. You go ahead and give us your closing remarks. Also, make sure you tell everybody how they can reach you, donate to your organization, everything. So we're going to go ahead, and once you're done, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back and we'll finish up the show.
Once again, it's President Shayla L. Davis from the Ohio Legislative Black Caucus Foundation. Very excited to be here today to talk about the Black community and how I work every day to uplift it. If you're willing to donate, if you're willing to volunteer your time, because everything is not always about money. People have skill sets that are assets to the organization to help elevate the work. You can reach out to us at www.olbcfoundation.org, or you can email office@olbcfoundation.org. Our telephone number is 614-263-7000, 614-263-7000. And you can find me on any social media platform. I'm not the best at it, but I am out there, and so is the foundation itself. We are hosting on March 27th it's called Hot Flashes and Hard Truths. It's a conversation about Black women and menopause.
Is it March 27th or May?
May. I'm sorry, May.
Yeah, I was like, geez, that's not a woman's event.
But
you can have some hot flashes too,
and you need to learn about it.
I know a lot about it. Trust me.
Well, you need to learn the hard truths and the facts, because
I got the hard truths.
Shayla, give us that date again.
It is.
Are you going to that?
We're not gonna waste time on Ken.
It's a webinar, so it's virtual, so it's for everyone across the state. But it's about the Hottie Act that got dropped. So 2 legislators dropped the Hottie Act, which is about hormone replacement therapy, because insurance companies in Ohio are not required to cover that to help people. And So many women, 6,000 women a day enter into menopause. And Black women obviously have the worst outcomes as we have the worst health outcomes. I am in the throes of it all.
And I might be
see
flashing
you.
right now.
I am absolutely flashing. So we need to have, and I need fans in here next time I come back. But we need to have conversations about that, how these very practical things are affected by the policies that exist and do not exist in our lives. But how is it really impacting Black women? That is the important conversation. So we're doing that on the 27th. Go to the website, get the time, y'all. I'm not 100% sure. But then also, like I said, our State of Black Ohio Policy and Action book is dropping and releasing today. If you are not subscribed to our website and our newsletter, please do. That's where the information is. I'm doing everything to put it out there, and I need you guys to do everything to receive it and share it with the next person. This is all about Black Ohioans.
Ken, I keep saying, Black women,
they
solid.
I was just saying, they're sitting here shaking my head like, man, I was just sitting here like, maybe God, if I come back, bring me back a Black woman.
That's right. That's right.
I know that's
y'all be getting it in. I mean, these dudes, we be catching heck, man. Y'all got somebody pushing legislation for menopause.
See,
man, come on. And I'm not saying it's not a bad thing. I'm just saying that it's a good thing. Y'all on top of it, man.
But you have to
do it.
Yeah, and you also have to understand, and again, as Shayla was saying, where hormone replacement therapy is, and that impact of not just menopause, but what it does for women in general. And one of the studies that recently came out was talking about Alzheimer's and the fact that many Black women start menopause early, which menopause leads to brain fog. And if you're dealing with brain fog and it goes further, dealing with brain fog, and you think about somebody starting brain fog in 30 or 40, then what happens as they age? They end up with dementia. They end up with Alzheimer's. So all of these things impact this life. So when we're talking about those type of policies, we gotta think the holistic of the policy.
And let me go back to this other last point, and then I'm going to step out of here. And so when we talk about Black women and their menstrual cycles, right? A lot of Black women suffer from fibroids very heavily. What doctors do is push Black women, the predominance of people, to get a hysterectomy. I am one of the women who did that in my 30s because I used to be in so much pain. I couldn't function in my life. I'm okay that I did it. I already had my children. I'm fine with it. However, it does escalate and push you into menopause earlier, something that our parents didn't talk about, our moms and our aunties, because if we really want to talk about, and May is Women's Health History Month too. So just so we know that. Women's health just became a thing in the late 1990s, early 2000s. Most gynecologists don't talk about menopause. I found out from these doctors that in medical school, they only do 6 hours of training around it. So even when you're going to a Black represented gynecologist and you're bringing all these issues forth, it doesn't mean they understand it and know it. And so it takes us to tell our story, to your point, right? But then representation matters in these elected spaces, because if it weren't Black women sitting there who have either experienced it or knew someone, would it come up? Menopause been around for a long time.
Right.
It's biological.
And I go back to what you said earlier when we talking. I'm not going.
We need to have a separate show.
I'm gonna have to have you on the podcast. I'm just have to have you on the podcast, on my podcast, Sanctified and Stilettos.
Come on,
because it goes back to also the funding. And people not realizing how that funding is impacted in research. And so if research, because what has happened is funding that was geared towards underrepresented minorities, Black women, Black people in general, that's the funding that was cut in these higher education spaces. And so when you got doctors that are actually trying to research what happens with Black women, they've lost funding based on
all
the
of
status
this.
administration.
Absolutely.
You guys, I'm just saying, y'all be at it, man. Listen, if we had something, men, our arms and all our limbs will fall off before we get some legislation passed. I mean, we just don't do it. I mean, you guys on everything.
Ken, they have no shame or hesitancy about raising issues related to their health.
That's right.
But men will not talk about erectile dysfunction. They will not talk about prostate cancer. They will hide from it. And we have to educate them. But going back to the main purpose of this conversation as we started, they've just articulated the integration of how politics, voting because
Policy.
when Trump appointed Kennedy, all the things they're talking about
went away.
Under all kind of guises. A bunch of charlatan coops just killed it. You know, and then you know, Amy Acton, who's running now. Remember when her thing was the health director of the state of Ohio? They didn't think that she knew what she was talking about. Was came to isolating people that had COVID. So you know, we have a dangerous group of people running our state and running our country, and we got to commit to this fight.
We're gonna take a quick break because I want Shayla Davis represent. She's
President Shayla L. Davis. That's why President. Respect on my name.
President Shayla L.
No
Davis.
different from nobody else.
She makes sure I say her name.
That's right.
Hold on. Even in the text messages, y'all.
I sure did.
I know that's right. I'm sorry, President Shayla L. Davis. Please forgive me.
Even in the text messages, y'all. But look, she's gonna be a contributor on our program. This is her Tuesday. Every second Tuesday of the month, Shayla L. Davis is going to be joining our crew to bring us information and stuff that's going on across the state of Ohio. OLBC. We would just OLBC F. They say she's going to be on me. Between her and Dr. Burton, I'll have a PhD when I walk out of here this time.
That's why I wasn't saying the name or initials, because I wasn't messing.
They're going to get me right. But she's going to be with us. We're going to take a quick break because she got to run out here and take care of some family business. And we'll be right back.
Thank you.
What's up, Cleveland? It's time to turn up the conversation. Tune in to the Strategic Moves with Ken Dow Radio Show. For What's on Your Mind Tuesdays, call in, comment, and connect on 95.9 FM WOVU, WOVU.org, and hit us up on social media. Let's go.
This May 16th, join us for something bigger than just an event. From 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Ridall Urban Farm in Cleveland, we're celebrating Armed Forces Day, honoring service while bringing the community together. Enjoy free food, raffle tickets, entertainment, and activities for all ages. From crafts and face painting to bounce houses and giveaways. Veterans can also access valuable services and benefits. Just bring your DD-214, located at 8129 Otter Avenue. This is your chance to connect, celebrate, and enjoy a day built for the community. Visit ridall.org/Armed Forces Day. We look forward
Support
to
for WOVU comes from the Civic Engagement Collaborative, empowering and building stronger communities through civic education and engagement. Join them for upcoming community events at Platform 13 on Cedar Ave, Friday, May 1st, and at the Box Spot on Kinsman Road, June 5th, July 10th, and August 7th. Connect, engage, and help create positive change in our neighborhoods. Follow them on social media at Civic Engagement Collab for more information and updates.
What's up, Cleveland? It's time to turn up the conversation. Tune in to the Strategic Moves with Ken Dow Radio Show for What's on Your Mind Tuesdays. Call in, comment, and connect on 95.9 FM WOVU, WOVU.org, and hit us up on social media.
All right, we're back. We're back. That was President Shayla L. Davis of the OLBCF. I think I get that right. OLBCF is her organization. And like I said, she would be a contributor on our program, coming back from time to time to give us information about what's going on. So speaking of what's going on, it's been a minute, at least been a week, right? It's been a week. So what you been up to, Doctor?
Yeah, it's been a week. So my book, Student Success, is available for pre-order, y'all. Go to Amazon.com or Rutledge Publishing, Student Success for historically Black student success for historically Black students. I think that's the name of it. Student Success in Historically Black Spaces. So go to Amazon.com or to Rutledge, pick up that copy. Also got a workshop coming up on Friday. If you haven't had a chance to purchase tickets for that, you can go to my website, drheathereburton.com. But, I want to, so those are just a couple things that are going on besides, the preaching and speaking engagements. But today I was driving while Judge Nelson was visiting people in the store. I was driving down and I said, it's white people on Kinsman. I see Uni's face. And I happen to be on the phone with somebody.
She looking like me, like where?
Yes, literally. So as always, I'm running in on the time clock. But as I was pulling up, white woman walking down the street, and I said, "Do we have any space that people that I'm trying to figure out how to even word this?" But I started thinking about gentrification in the neighborhoods and how you got folks running in their leggings on 105 now.
That's right.
And I'm like, and we can't get a concentration of us for anything.
We don't like living amongst each other.
But we are but and I heard somebody say this, and I agree with that. But we are a group of people that will come together.
Do we?
For things. Yeah, we do. Especially if you talk about events. No. If you talk about other stuff, we're going to come together. Not even just parties. We'll come together for a cause.
Do we?
But we're going to come together for that day.
Only cause I see Black people come together on is when Black women say Black women going to do something.
But see, that's the problem.
I hate to be that way, but honest. Y'all say y'all going to do something. Usually you can best believe it's going to be something, but everybody else, and I'm counting us too, brothers. I ain't gave up on us, but it's the truth, But
I think we live in a bubble here in Cleveland.
No, that's true.
Yeah, we live in a bubble because I go to other cities and my other friends, and I watch them come together as a Black community, and it's completely different than the bubble that we live here in Cleveland.
That's because Cleveland is highly segregated, and by being highly segregated, the gatekeepers, who are the Black folks who are in position that's loyal to the other folks, and I'm gonna call them not just white folks, because there's some Black influential people in this town as well that wants to keep people in a certain way. They want to keep certain people in certain neighborhoods. They want to keep certain people in certain jobs. They only promote certain people to the same. Think about this. Have you ever looked at your timeline? And I'm one of these people who have a lot of folks involved in my circle, and I follow and look at a lot of things. But when you look at the people who get the awards in this town, it's the same people. The same people get the same awards, the same people at the same dinners, honoring the same people for the same thing. And it's a club. It's a club here in Cleveland. If you're not part of that club, you're there. And people will say, well, damn, Ken, aren't you part of the club? All the work you done did wrong? No, I'm not part of the club because I was always looked at on the outside of the club. I was the field dude who did a lot of work, but I ain't the guy that was part of their club. And I'm telling you, that's what you got here, doctor. And that's why you feel this segregation.
I made one.
Well, I have to say now, I'm going to get on I'm letting the judge talk, but
I'm gonna follow your point.
No, philosophically, we label it as a segregation mindset.
Okay.
I promised, and I told you this, and I posted on my website. I've enjoyed going to all the black tie dinners. I've enjoyed that. But the only event I'm going to this year is one where they honoring some people who actually put it on the line. So that means I won't be going to many.
No.
Because I've looked at the honors list, and I think it's good to get a little recognition, but we haven't honored anybody that's willing to ride the bus and get it bombed as they go fight for civil rights or voting rights. The only event I'm going to is going to be the Delta's Diamond and Pearls, because I'm scared not to go because they have so much power.
They make you scared.
I'm going to that.
You gotta go.
And if you want to purchase your tickets, that is on Thursday, June 25th, and I am the event chair. So for Black Diamonds and Pearls, our annual fundraising event for the Delta Foundation.
And my mother's going. She's going to sit at the National Council of Negro Women table, and I don't know which table I'm gonna say. I may be yours.
But you know, we specifically for that event, we specifically give to people who are giving in the community. Yeah.
So
if you're not giving, not just who you are in your service, but what are you doing to give back?
So I'm gonna go to that event. But and that Dr. Burton, he was giving you your moment to shine.
I'm going.
No, we're good. Because we running.
I got to deal with this Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act.
Go ahead, Joe.
You know, we got the right to vote in 1870. You know, that's when the Congress passed the 15th Amendment. And then, of course, Jim Crow came and they just said, okay, you got the right, but we in this state ain't gonna let you. So it ultimately led to, so for 50, 65, 70 years, we had to deal with, 80 years, we had to deal with violence, lynching. People get kicked in the butt. You know, Fannie Lou Hamer being beat down till she's damn near blind. And then they passed the Voting Rights Act. But then they had to give some enforcement to it. So then they passed Section 2 so that, you know, they could enforce the Voting Rights Act. And then this Supreme Court voids all of that, as if the problem is solved. Somebody posted on my website said that, well, the Voting Rights Act and Section 2 wasn't supposed to last forever. I'll agree with that, but it was supposed to last till the problem got solved. And the problem has not been solved. It's just like the consent decree.
They said it was.
Oh, no. If it was solved, and they only are eliminating states, districts that are majority. If they were really doing it to make it as fair as they say they wanted to make it, then they would go after some majority districts. But they're only dealing with majority districts, and saying they're trying to make it fair because all those were drawn on race. No, they were drawn because we were locked out.
Right.
We were locked out, and this gave us a chance to get in. So you're going to eliminate all these congressional districts. So you have some farmer from Southern Ohio representing the industrialists from cities, from urban communities. That is not right. And it is the cost of voters, black and white, not turning out and voting for Kamala Harris. Let's put it right on the dime. I don't care if you hated Kamala Harris. She would never have gone after your voting rights.
No.
She wouldn't have done that. And we're paying the price for our arrogance, ignorance, and stupidity.
Do you think, though, that those people who don't vote are the same people who say, how was I going to say this? The people who don't vote are the ones that say, I wouldn't have voted for her anyways because I don't vote.
Well, the problem is, we just talked to the president of the Ohio Legislative Black Caucus Foundation, who's going to take care of her brother. Not voting killed research that will affect people, both black and white, who have to deal with health issues. Not voting knocked out all the research dollars. Not only did it knock out the dollars, but it knocked out the ability to actually scientifically go over and maybe discover the secrets of some of this, the resolutions to some of these things.
How much of that we believe is black people feeling as if, you know, we went through that thing where we're going to just sit this one out. This is not our fight. We're not getting involved in it and all of that. How much of this that you think is attributed to that? And the reason why I say that is I believe that effect on both sides. I think with black folks, it was like, hey, this ain't our fight. That's them white folks. Let them deal with it. And that threw on a big apathy in our community. But then you had white people who just totally disgusted with what happened, because they might have been either Trump supporters and he didn't do exactly what they wanted them to do. They probably, you got some white folks who voted for Trump who's just not racist. Everybody who voted for him ain't racist. A lot of them just voted for him because they really thought that this white president dude or this dude being a person who they think of good character could have won, and he didn't. And they didn't vote. So I think that's what we got.
$5.99 gas is going to change a lot of people.
That's where I'm at. 2 minutes, Judge. Got a minute.
I'm going to end it on that, and I'm going to defer to, let me give it back to Dr.
Well, all I say is, I'm going to paraphrase this. Ibram Kendi says, you may not be a producer of racist ideologies, but you've sure been a consumer. So those people who voted for Trump.
And what book you got that from, Doc?
That is from, I think that one was from How to Be an Anti-Racist, I think, or Stamped from the Beginning.
Wherever it comes from, it's a very accurate statement.
It's one of the two.
Hold on, what's the name of those books again?
Accurate
Stamped from the Beginning, or How to Be an Anti-Racist.
Jesus.
I look at
the weekly book.
That's right.
I
look at pictures of lynchings. And those people, the children today are the grandchildren of people that were standing.
I mean, I always used to tell my students that the people throwing rocks at Mamie Till, Emmett Till, them still the same people that's alive today.
Right.
And so, and when we talk about mindset and those things, it's still within our society, and we've got to accept that. This man was driving next to me Sunday with Trump stickers in his car. It took all I had not to flick.
That's what is leading us off to. We're getting very, very, very tight up here. Judy giving me the wrap up. The wrap up. I was gonna say the fingers, but she's giving me the wrap up. So it's time for us to wrap this show up again. I want y'all to make sure y'all go check out our podcast. Dr. Burton has a very good podcast, Sanctified in Stilettos. You can watch Strategic Moves with Ken Dow, Dr. Burton and Dr. Burton and Judge Nelson and I got a show that's on there as well. Please check us out, the Strategic Moves Network on YouTube. Catch us next week on Tuesday. Peace.
Cleveland, this is your show, your topics and your voice. Join me, Ken Dow, for What's on Your Mind Tuesday on 95.9 FM WOVU. Call in a comment on social media. Let's make this conversation unforgettable. Streaming live at WOVU.org.
LP Cleveland, Burton Bell Car Station.
This is Strategic Moves with Ken Dow.